Good left hook there.
The list of Melvin Manhoef's nicknames speaks for itself. No Mercy, Mini Tyson, the Dutch Beast. But one thing that talks the loudest is knockouts. Launching a professional career as a kickboxer in the mid-90s, the natural middleweight destroyed K1 giants no matter the size. Alongside big gloves, he put up no less stellar performances on the canvas of mixed fights. Living up to his status of a ferocious puncher, the Dutchman with Surinamese roots has become the idol for many generations of fans. Let's go over his historical MMA scraps, the true masterpieces of combat agony. Melvin was born in May of 1976 in Suriname on the Atlantic coast of South America. His parents, who emigrated to the Netherlands, groomed him for a soccer career. Nevertheless, once Manhoef discovered the art of Thai boxing, he chose the way of the warrior. Despite being always inclined to pugilism on the feet, it is MMA where the 19-year-old Melvin made his professional debut. In December 1995, he locked horns with Jordi Yonkers. With no gloves and only palm strikes allowed, thanks to the old-school rules, Manhoef handled his opponent with ease. The beatdown was over in the 9th minute. Following the successful start in MMA, the Merciless moved into kickboxing, where he spent 4 years practicing his furious windmilling techniques. In the year of 1999, Melvin returned to MMA for a duel with Rodney Glunder. The no-holds-barred bout featured a lot of crazy back-and-forth action. By the end of round 2, Melvin began to run out of gas. With his strength dwindling, the Merciless was unable to resist takedowns, which cost him dearly. Glunder was lucky to get away with a draw, and Manhoef went on a campaign for pain. Once the basic wrestling skills were in place, it was time for his opponents to suffer. They wouldn't last for long, falling into unconsciousness. The trademark pre-fight ritual, which many found disrespectful, also helped Melvin to intimidate his adversaries, and it worked.
Good left hook there. Oh, what a punch!
Persisting to compete in the openweight division, Melvin viciously slammed heavy opponents headfirst into the canvas.
Molnára znovu tvrdý pravý hák na bradu, se pokusil ještě zasadit poslední úder a inkasoval pravý hák, který jej definitivně...
But the extravaganza of epic wins could not last forever. It was Bob Schreiber who became a showstopper for Manhoef. The European kickboxing champion was respected all over the world for his explosive right hand. He was also known by the moniker of Dirty Bob and was hated for his constantly loose interpretation of the rules. Melvin took an instant dislike to his counterpart. The Merciless went from chill to kill fast and dropped it like it's hot.
Really showing that he means business. Circling around the veteran. And they're down. They're it looks like no 8 counts.
Continuing to punish his enemy, Manhoef added healthy doses of punches and kicks for good measure.
Fast fury of Manhoef now going full out. Problems there for Bob Schreiber, who is on the receiving end of kicks and punch.
But Dirty Bob spat out his mouthguard in the nick of time and got a life-saving breather.
He was faster, he was more explosive.
The pause in the midst of the barrage allowed Schreiber to pull himself together and to secure a much-needed takedown.
Fight. That's maybe a possibility. Throwing him to the floor, and now we can use it.
On the horizontal plane, it was big weight difference that came into play and decided the fate of the scuffle.
I think there's a big problem there. It's out. It's over.
Melvin finally came to the painful realization that even such a knockout machine as himself should not compete with huge dump trucks who are allowed to wrestle.
Manhoef is very upset.
Actively juggling kickboxing and mixed martial arts, Manhoef completed the first decade of his career in the MMA with a portfolio of 6 wins and 2 losses. But this was just a prologue to future conquests.
Good left.
In 2005, the Merciless gave up his ambitions and settled for the light heavyweight division. His fresh start took place in Cage Rage to the accompaniment of fireworks.
The knee falls up. It's a huge flurry. Oh, he's in trouble.
The ensuing campaign for the title ended in September. The Brazilian Fabio Piemonte got on the receiving end of a slaughter, and even his much vaunted BJJ turned out to be useless.
Fabio looking for a takedown, single leg does well.
After returning to vertical combat, Melvin rushed to the opponent and gave him a great chin spinner.
Nose is bleeding, but you're right, he's taken them. There's the fireworks, the gun. He's out as well.
It is a knockout.
The entire altercation ended in just a matter of 51 seconds, with Piemonte remaining and his mouthpiece flying away. Now the whole of Europe knew that the real dynamite also comes in small packages. For the victory, he got the belt, with its first defense scheduled for February of 2006. Evangelista Santos flew from Brazil to challenge Manhoef. With his distinctive ultra-violent style, the Brazilian, dubbed as Cyborg, was a perfect matchup for the all-out war with the Merciless. What happened next by far exceeded the wildest of expectations. At first, there was an exchange of jabs. Then the rivals got high on adrenaline in their veins, and things took a nasty turn.
But they're gonna start trading now. Here we go, folks.
Melvin, without further ado, began to take aim with his signature left hook.
Left hook, Cyborg blocked the right.
There's that left hook by Manhoef. Manhoef got him up against the fence now.
Cyborg has to watch that right hand.
Having gotten into the swing of things, he unleashed his favorite multi-level attack.
Good shot to the body. A good headshot followed by a low leg kick.
Whoa!
Soon the keen bruisers bit their mouth guards and went into an old-school fisticuff.
Body again, ducking under.
The combinations of strikes, both guys are not hitting. This is unreal.
Taking hits in bulk, like wholesale was cheaper, the fighters did not even think about giving up.
Cyborg on the ropes.
At the end of the round, the Brazilian remembered his native jiu-jitsu and scored a saving takedown. Over the next lap, Cyborg used a clinch, but it was pretty much to no avail. Santos' arms were getting heavy, as were the punches of the pressuring Manhoef.
Beautiful combinations.
The Brazilian survived and landed a couple of lefters.
Melvin got him again with the right hand. Melvin coming forward.
It was Cyborg's time to get the second wind and try to turn the tide.
To be honest, Rob, I think he's playing the game here. I think Cyborg is trying to outsight Melvin.
Now Melvin could barely stand on his stiff legs.
Here, Melvin.
Melvin's on the verge of going down here.
When they were halfway through the battle, it was easier for both of them to take blows rather than raise their hands.
Cyborg almost out of gas.
But the Merciless knew how to shoot from the hip and suddenly activated the God of War mode.
This is unbelievable. Both guys, nothing left. Look at wow. Look at this crowd.
Finally, in the 9th minute, the explosive chemistry accumulated and resulted in a detonation.
Melvin with a big left, and a right, and a left, and a right. He sinks Cyborg. Cyborg's on his back.
Unbelievable.
That evening, there was the greatest battle in Europe and perhaps the world's MMA. A benchmark clash to showcase the superiority of character over technique and common sense.
With a big left, and a right, and a left, and a right.
For 29-year-old Manhoef, that victory was a long-awaited ticket to the top league.
Champion of the world!
Before the inevitable move to the Mecca of martial arts, which at the time was considered to be Japan, he defended his title for the last time. The challenger was Ian Freeman, a famous UFC veteran with tons of experience. The contender lasted merely 17 fatal seconds.
On the ground. Not good. Big uppercut.
Right. He's out. Ian Freeman.
In passing, Melvin also put in an appearance at K1 to face off with Tatsufumi Tomohiro. In the beginning of the bout, the Japanese man was trying to demonstrate his samurai spirit. But was knocked down by the very first targeted combination to the head.
Beautiful shot, good combination by Melvin. Oh, now he puts him down!
Tomohiro managed to regain his stance, though, in less than a minute, he eventually collapsed.
So that's been the story. You see those right hands. Oh, another right combination gets in. Nice left right combination. Tomohiro goes down once again.
Having run out of work in Europe, Manhoef left for Japan to expand his market. Upon notching up 5 consecutive kills in MMA and celebrating his 30th birthday, Manhoef realized that he was ready for a big show, slated for August of 2006. With 14 wins and 2 losses, Melvin took part in the Heroes Light Heavyweight Grand Prix 2006. In the quarterfinals, a member of the Gracie family had to fly around the ring.
노려볼 만한 그런 그 기점에 또 올라서는 거죠. 네. 라이트 헤비급 토너먼트 8강.
The descendant of the Brazilian clan was not going to test his chin and would just drop on the canvas from the slightest wind of the arena.
사실 또 마에다이쯤의 전승자라고 불릴 정도로
Melvin, living up to his reputation, dropped the Mr. Nice Guy and ruthlessly finished off the helpless grappler on the floor.
히어로즈의 링에 섰기가 좀 힘들어지지 않을까요? 일어날 때 턱 걸렸죠.
In the semifinals, the Japanese man entered the ring. At this juncture, things started to pick up for the merciless. On that same night, the final took place, where Manhoef met with an Asian TV star, Yoshihiro Akiyama. Contrary to what his darling nickname suggests, Sexyama overwhelmed opponents not with his love, but with judo, and a naturally devastating punch. However, being within an inch of the world title, the Predator showed no regard for the status of his prey and started hunting for its head. For half a minute, the Japanese skillfully absorbed blows with his judogi until he managed to take down the Dutch beast. Melvin was lucky enough to quickly regain his feet, but trying to cosplay a wrestler with an experienced judoka turned out to be a dangerous job for him. The accolade of the Grand Prix title went to Sexyama, but Manhoef did not lose his playful mood even in defeat. The loss that diluted his 10-win streak did not change Melvin's plans for 2007. Yoshiki Takahashi, who confronted Manhoef in March, was considered one of the best Japanese pugilists. Yoshiki managed to show off his skills to the guest. But after prefacing with a kick, Manhoef beat the boxer at his own game before he knew it. In the summer, the Dutchman came back to the ring wearing a fancy collar. This time, Melvin was matched with a fellow striker who packed a punch not inferior to that of Manhoef.
Really swinging for the fences over
In the ring, the two gaijins did not take their time and staged a showdown. The merciless notched up a knockdown. And then he completed the mission. In the third minute, Melvin kindly horizontalized his adversary so that he could enjoy the limelight lying on his back. Nevertheless, in his June battle with Ruslan Karayev, with whom Manhoef previously had an altercation, the Dutch beast was not going to show kindness. It took the merciless just 31 seconds to settle the old scores with his nemesis.
The man from Holland.
That's for sure.
Oh, left hook and tagged him! The big kibosh! The big kibosh! It's good night, Iran!
A left hook suddenly overtook the lethargic Karayev, and the Russian caved in.
The man from Holland.
That's for sure.
Melvin had no intention of decelerating in MMA either. In less than a year, 3 more opponents went down for the count.
Knee to the head. It's over. That's it. Manhoef.
Of the stars they were seeing. In the summer of 2008, Manhoef already had a track record of 21 wins and 4 losses, including 20 victories by way of knockout. After signing a contract with the brand new Dream promotion, Melvin immediately joined the Grand Prix as a middleweight. In the quarterfinals, his opponent was none other than Sakuraba, credited with putting Pride FC on the map. The Japanese man was already an all-time legend with emeritus status. His ability to work wonders on the canvas was beyond even the slightest doubt. A small costume performance staged by Sakuraba when coming out to the ring turned out to be ominously prophetic for him. The loaded for bear Manhoef pussyfooted at first, but a head kick coupled with a punch heralded an early finale. Thinking on his feet, Melvin scored a cheeky shot and brutally executed the Pride pioneer with no regard for his status. Having taken a perfect combination of blows, the samurai tried to cling to his consciousness that was inexorably fading away. But he didn't last long. Manhoef became a star overnight. Melvin's winning streak was interrupted at the Grand Prix semi-final against Gegard Mousasi. The bout was marked with a slam performed by the Dutchman for starters.
He's got to slam him as hard as he can. Look at the power of Manhoef. He should stay there. No, slam him down. Don't slam him down. That's dangerous.
He did as Mousasi tries to
It's
throw
over,
it in.
see? He shouldn't have done that. He should have kept him there.
And he does.
Although Manhoef lost, yet again revealing his weakness on the ground, he was going to hit the double jackpot soon. Missing kickboxing, in early December 2008, Manhoef made an appearance in K1. Before the matchup, the 235-pound Paul Slavinsky trash-talked Melvin, to which the Beast reacted calmly and said nothing aggressive in turn. But in the ring, his fist spoke volumes to that effect. Ramming the Polish powerhouse into the corner was merely a formality.
Одиночный удар, и все, все. Отгоните его. Уведите прочь.
As a result of the first knockdown, Slavinsky regretted his words. After the second one, he got dumbstruck for a moment.
Все, все. Отгоните его.
The memory of disrespect was still fresh when Manhoef was offered a New Year's Eve gala with Mark Hunt. The Dutchman did not relish the prospect of taking on a super heavyweight in MMA. But his manager dared the hesitant Melvin to tackle Mark despite his size, asking Manhoef what he would do outside the ring if he caught Hunt harassing some girl in a bar in his presence. So, this is a story about how the hairy virgin chin of Hunt was deflowered in just 18 seconds.
Hi. さあ突っ込んでくる
The New Year's spectacle with the K1 champion of 2001 ended in a resounding success.
さあ突っ込んでくる
The year of 2009 was predominated by kickboxing for Melvin. In MMA, the merciless appeared only twice. In July, he took on former WEC champion Paulo Filho, who boasted the next to perfect record of 16 wins and only 1 loss. Early on in the battle, to the surprise of many, Manhoef easily blocked a takedown and immediately upped the offense.
Here comes Manhoef. He's unloading the heavy arms. 1, 2.
Oh, he hurt him.
Body
Another
shot. Still having a whole lot of trouble.
His way. I mean, he's doing a good job.
But the assault was not brief enough, and it cost the Dutchman his verticality. Being one of the best grapplers in MMA, Paulo did not miss his chance on the canvas. Late in the year, Melvin got an invitation to the New Year's Eve show. Winning for Manhoef was a must. True to form, he warmed up the Japanese audience while making his way to the ring, and then started a perfect storm in 2 minutes.
For almost 2 minutes.
Super intensity.
Melvin drove home his lefter 3 times, rendering the retreating Japanese man unable to stand on his feet. With this victory, the 33-year-old Melvin marked the anniversary of his fighting career in MMA. For 15 years, blows would constantly whiz overhead, but the 23 knockouts in 24 victorious bouts suggested that Manhoef meant business. With his eyes fixed on the West, the merciless made the last leap of fate. His debut in the US promotion Strikeforce took place a month later. When he faced off against Robbie Lawler, the sound combat potential of the Ruthless was amplified by his shocking fist. January 2010 was marked by a one-act drama. On the outset, the American preferred to retreat, and Melvin's heavy leg game came into play before long. When his victory seemed like a done deal, Manhoef suddenly found himself on the receiving end of a thunderous knockout.
Possibly beginning to limp down again. Manhoef continues overhead.
The failed qualification in Strikeforce portended a lengthy losing streak and turning point in his career. Failures will haunt the merciless for another 2 years, depriving him of the intoxicating feeling of victory. Manhoef staged a triumphant comeback in ONE FC. Right from the get-go, Ryo Kawamura tried to confuse the merciless with his behavior. But after giving Melvin a good feel of his painful touch,
Sent Melvin back a bit.
the Japanese gent only awakened the beast.
Respect. He did it all. He did it again. Big right hand. Well, he did what he did just a minute earlier.
Kawamura was not lucky with the first trick, nor did Melvin fall for the second one. With his career loudly back on track, Manhoef made Dennis Kang finish his own. The hardened veteran with 15 years of hot experience was not afraid to get into a slugfest. But the Dutchman's knees were too sharp. After the bouncing blow with the single knee tossed Dennis into the air, Melvin sent his counterpart into well-deserved retirement. The final appearance in Asia took place in 2013, where Manhoef was remembered for his viral performance against Brock Larson.
Nice shot. Stuffed. Head kick again. Oh, he's chasing him. Oh!
In the cage, he tried his best to knock off work early without waiting for the scorecards. But too much time spent on the floor played against the merciless and resulted in a disappointing verdict.
Deep enough, but does finish strong. Well, there it is. And
However, the hilarious clip made a splash on the internet.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Melvin was flooded with offers from the US, but as one for the road, he replayed the immortal classic with Evangelista Santos. As the collision in the cage showed, the cyborg's armor plates were not as strong as they used to be. Without standing on ceremony, Manhoef was done with Santos in 46 seconds. The MMA Premier League was next in line.
No mercy.
The 38-year-old Manhoef moved to Bellator in September 2014. In the main event, former title challenger Doug Marshall looked good on the poster. But in the ring, Melvin's writers were drop-dead gorgeous.
Do what he told us he wanted to do, lateral movements. Oh, that's it. Manhoef looking to finish, and he does!
It took him 2 minutes to do the job of packing the body into a plastic bag. A single blow sent the American into freefall. The trademark left hook did not come in handy. After 2 months, Melvin was challenged by a pure kickboxer, Joe Schilling, who hadn't fought in MMA for 6 years. During that period, he scooped up quite a collection of Thai boxing belts, as well as a prestigious Glory title.
The bell and round.
With little regard for Schilling's status, Melvin decided to pull no punches and let the American spiral off. Miraculously surviving the knockdown, Joe stalled the fight until the gong. In the second round, Manhoef tried to initiate a trip for his foe to the point of no return.
Wipeout for Melvin Manhoef, but here comes Joe Schilling. Eats another left hand. Oh my God! That is it! A one-punch knockout!
The Dutchman got carried away with finishing and paid the price for it. The perfect right hook earned Schilling the knockout of the year.
Another left hand.
In February 2015, Melvin pitted himself against the former Bellator champion, Alexander Shlemenko.
Oh, good left hand!
As the first 5 minutes comes to an end, and McDaniel turns.
At first, it seemed that Manhoef met his ideal match. But then, contrary to all expectations, Alexander immediately messed up Melvin's game plan with his probing back fists. It took Manhoef quite a while to adapt, and when he already thought that the W was in the pocket,
dissimilar fashions. Oh, it hurt him! That's it! Speaking of the knockout, and there it is! Shlemenko delivers!
a spinning back fist sent him into oblivion. No wonder Shlemenko is nicknamed the Storm.
Dissimilar fashions. Oh, it hurt him! That's it!
Later that year, Melvin was given the last shot to run for the belt. The contender was Hisaki Kato, a no-namer prior to his shocking upset against Schilling. To warm things up for the match, Kato promised a massive slugfest. As a man of his word, he rushed headlong into the rumble.
Leads with the left kick. Trying to put pressure. Manhoef, that uppercut almost got through. Those right hands, he's hitting him over the top. Now Kato comes back.
Unhappy with the result, the Samurai initiated a second exchange.
Accurate shots from Kato. After the first time, Manhoef scrambling, covering up.
In a bid to overwhelm Melvin, Kato pressed ahead.
They meant it. As promised, by Melvin Manhoef, and it's over. Man!
With a well-calibrated left hook, Manhoef added a new masterpiece for the fans' collection. He was given a chance only to try on the Bellator belt, but not to wear it at his 40th anniversary. In the title fight with Rafael Carvalho, Melvin was the only source of effective aggression. Yet, when the bout was over, the judges ruthlessly disappointed Manhoef by keeping his hand down.
And at his most disappointing performance in his first defense.
And still!
It was only when the Merciless entered his 5th decade that he started to drop speed. Continuing to perform in MMA from time to time, Manhoef decided to appear in the cage out of sheer love for the art.
Of confidence. He's in trouble. He's in big trouble again.
He is still an active fighter with a record of 32 wins, including 29 by way of knockout and 15 losses. When Melvin is between jobs in the cage, he coaches in his gym in Holland and keeps his hands active outside the ring. For example, with poor robbers who failed to recognize the beast in March of 2022 and dearly paid for it. Today, Manhoef is 46. He is known well all over the world and is quite wealthy. But his main asset is parenthood. Melvin is the happy father of a son who has his dad's passion for kickboxing and inherited his notorious power punch. Despite such makings, the offspring decided not to follow in his parents' footsteps and chose soccer for a living instead. Melvin Manhoef spent 3 explosive decades on the powder keg by fighting in the fiery cage.
Left and right combination that misses a body. A good headshot followed by a low leg kick. Combination.
Equally dividing himself between MMA and kickboxing, he has staged more than 100 performances during all these long years in the blood and sweat industry.
Одиночный удар, и все.
Although the Merciless failed to grab the belts of the largest organizations, he never left the audience ice cold by knocking his opponents out cold with the incredible ratio of 91%. When the years of nostalgia come, Manhoef will definitely have something to reminisce about.
Good left.
Melvin with a big left, and a right, and a left, and a right. Not good.
If you liked the video and want to see another one about Melvin's career in kickboxing, punch that like button, subscribe to our channel, and vote for sport.
Head kick again. Oh, he's chasing him. Hi. Respect. He did it all. He did it again. Kicks.
Oh, that's it. As
下げたら危ないぞ。収まります。なるほど。